I'm Katie Atwell, co-host of the EduGals podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hi, this is Natalie Crayon-Vanger.
Hi, this is Angela Watson.
Hey, this is Matt Blackman.
Hi, this is Casey Cohen.
Hi, this is Danny Kennis.
My name is Derek Larson.
My name is Karina Gonzalez.
Hey everyone, this is the EdTech Maestro.
Hi, this is Jennifer Williams.
I'm Jenna Klein.
Hi, this is Jennifer Cron.
Hi, this is Jill Dobronsky.
Hi everybody, this is Jessica Johnson.
I'm Josh Gauthier.
This is Casey Bell.
Hi, this is Katrina Keene.
Hi, this is Laura Fleming.
This is LaVonna Roth.
Hi, this is Matt Miller.
Hi, my name is Miguel Kudri.
I am Patricia Brown.
Hello there, this is Rich Kikert.
Hi, my name is Alex Rosenwald.
Hi, this is Sharon Plant.
This is Teresa Steger.
This is Stephanie Ryan.
This is Tim Charleston.
Hey, this is Tom Murray.
Hey now, this is Justice Schleider.
Hello, this is Lynn Smargis.
Hi, my name is Stacy Lindis.
Hi, this is Adam Clark.
Hi, this is Brent Catlett.
This is Bruce Reichert.
Hi, this is Dennis Sheeran.
Hi, this is Katie Gardner.
I'm Carrie Gallagher.
Hi, this is Krista Mintz.
Hi, this is Krista Penrod.
I'm Michelle Shelton.
Hi, this is Mike Murata.
Hi, I'm Nate Nagel.
Hi, I'm Teresa Shadrix.
Lego Batman here.
This is Jojo.
This is John Nessie.
This is Lindsay Stumpenhorst.
Hey, this is Richard Byrne.
Hi, this is Caitlin Nessie.
I'm Miles, and you're listening to the House of EdTech with my daddy, Chris Nessie.
And you're listening to episode 200 of the House of EdTech podcast. Strike up the band.
Welcome to the House of EdTech. My name is Chris Nessie. The House of EdTech launched in 2014, giving me the opportunity to speak with teachers, leaders, and creators so you can more effectively integrate technology, strengthen your pedagogy, and have more confidence in your classroom and school so you can make an impact. Get involved with the podcast by visiting my website, chrisnessie.com. Using technology isn't difficult, and this is where it begins. This is the House of EdTech. Here we are, everybody. This is episode 200 of the podcast. Man, listening to that intro as I record it and I hear all those voices of podcasts past, man, it has been a fun ride since I launched this podcast back in January of 2014. Man, wow. If this is your first time listening, well, there's only 199 episodes to catch up on. And actually, a quick funny story. A friend of mine who I teach with, Brian, former in-class support teacher, we teach social studies together. He says to me the other day, he's like, hey, Nessie, I just want to let you know I started listening to a podcast. I said, cool, what podcast? He goes, yours. He goes, I know you've done it and been doing it. And I decided I'm going to go back and listen to it from the beginning. So Brian is listening to these episodes from the beginning, and we had a conversation and had a few good laughs about the beginnings of the House of EdTech podcast. And it'll be a while until he hears this one, but if he's listening to one or two a day, he should catch up pretty quickly. So Brian, shout out to you for getting all the way to episode 200 whenever you do. But man, I mean, this is, I've got content in this episode, so I'm not just here to pat myself on the back. I've got an EdTech thought. I have my EdTech recommendation. I've got my House of EdTech VIP all set for this episode. And as you can see by the title of this episode, which is Start Using EdTech, it's the complete opposite to what I shared in episode 199, which was titled Stop Using EdTech, which threw a lot of listeners for a loop. It might have even thrown you for a loop. And I got some interesting feedback. I hope I didn't turn anybody off with what I was saying because, you know, more than halfway through the episode, we got to the fact that I was being very sarcastic. But the point was made that there are people who believe a lot of the things that I shared in episode 199. But here we are, episode 200, and we're going to talk about how we should start using education technology. Because if there are people who still believe what I said and dug up on the internet in episode 199, then we need to inspire those people with an episode like this. I did get some feedback that I did want to share from episode 200, and I got a great voicemail from Emily Poole. Let's hear what Emily had to say.
Hey Chris, Emily here. And I just listened to episode 399, and I have to say, for the first part of it, I was pretty confused how your views had changed so much, but then it all made sense. My favorite quote was, "You wouldn't teach your kids how to swim in the parking lot," and I think that's a great way to look at EdTech in our classrooms. Thanks for all you do. Have a great day.
Thank you for your voicemail, Emily. I appreciate that. Voicemails from listeners certainly put gas in my little podcast tank. And yeah, teaching kids to swim in the parking lot does not teach them how to swim. So how can we expect students to learn how to use education technology and technology in general? How can we expect them to do anything in general if we don't give them an authentic learning experience, or as close to authentic as we can? I mean, we live in a world where, kids aren't really sheltered, so we need to do a better job supporting them. I also got an email from Cheri, Dotterer, who is a friend of mine who I met via Clubhouse last year, and we still talk, and she's getting into the podcast game, and she sent me a quick email message that said, "So you had the heart of a person who teaches the neuroscience behind writing all excited. I totally understand both sides. Great title, great episode. Some days low tech is necessary. Kudos." Thank you, Cheri, for sending that email. First, if you want to send me an email, you can send it to feedback@chrisnessy.com. And Cheri, for you, it was exactly what I wanted it to do. So yes, some days low tech is necessary. It's the problem when no tech or poorly integrated technology is what's happening in a classroom or a school. So there you go. Let's continue this episode. The celebration rolls on. The 200 train goes chugging down the tracks. Let's get to this episode's EdTech Thought. This episode's EdTech Thought is called Taking a Risk. And I want to share a quick story. Now, it's a story that you may have heard me tell before, but again, you might be a new listener and you're not quite sure how I got here. So, in brief, how did I get to episode 200? Well, the journey started with episode 1. And before I launched the podcast in January of 2014, my wife told me that she was tired of listening to me talk about education technology and that I should start a podcast, which was a risk for me. I was using Twitter. I had dabbled in blogging, and I got frustrated back in 2011, 2012, 2013 with Twitter because I felt that I was putting good stuff out there, but I wasn't being heard. And I wanted to be heard, and I believed that there was a better way to get my voice out there. And literally, it was to put my voice out there. And, all credit goes to the lovely Caitlin Nessie for saying, you should start a podcast. She said, you are smart enough. You can probably go find podcasts about podcasting. I'm sure that there are articles out there, and you can do this. Go do it. Start something. And here I am, 200 episodes later, almost 10 years later. And I've joked all along this run that I knew I would get to episode 200. I recently, here in 2022, crossed the 1 million download mark. I knew I would get there. I knew that once I started to learn about recording and audio editing and publishing a podcast and writing show notes and how to promote my point of view and share my voice with the world, that I would hit these little milestones, because it is just, first and foremost, it is fun for me to do this. And, again, here, this is episode 200, and, I apologize for the first 199 episodes because I'm always learning more about this so I can do it better. And I've taken risks with the podcast along the way. I've taken risks in the beginning reaching out to people who I probably had no business talking to. Go back and listen to some of the names and hear their voices of people who have been guests in previous episode on this show. You know, if not for my podcast, I would never have had conversations with most of those people, right? You know, now granted, they are all approachable, but to be I mean, these are people who, you know, get tagged on Twitter all the time. They were getting tagged on Twitter and being asked questions back then, right? And if you really go back and listen to some of those names, I was talking to people before they became who they are already. I'm not saying it's because of me, but I guess I have an eye for really intelligent people who have something really important to say and share. So I will pat myself on the back for that. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, what are you holding off on? What are you thinking about doing? What have you not taken a chance on? What are you not taking a risk by trying or starting? Right? Now, I recently had a birthday. I turned 41 at the end of April, and by no stretch of the imagination am I close to death's door. But I do think about from time to time what opportunities are presented to me, what opportunities am I creating for myself, so that way, when the end is near, I don't look back with regret. And if I didn't start this podcast, if I didn't try the things that I'm doing, if I didn't start the Education Podcast Network or Podcast PD or Knock Knock Who's There or the Chase for 28 or the Vacuum Podcast, you know, with Miles, right? You know, what would I have been doing with my time? What would I have tried? You know, I have no regrets doing this podcast and learning and growing and connecting because it has been that powerful and that valuable. Now for you, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's blogging, maybe it's spending more time on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram, connecting and growing and learning, or creating in your garage or your backyard. So I want to encourage you here in this episode to take a risk. And I think it's a message that I've put out before, but it is certainly worth repeating. The reason being, if we want students to take risks, we need to model that. We need to be able to share stories about taking risks. And that's my EdTech thought. For this episode's House of EdTech recommendation, I wanted to share a handful of EdTech tools, ideas, concepts, right? So here we are 200 episodes into this run, and for a good majority of the episodes, I share something, whether it's the EdTech Smackdown or every episode, but I would say most of the episodes have something that you can go check out, try, and I gotta say, again, I want to pat myself on the back a little bit here. There are a lot of tools that I've recommended since 2014 where I recommend it here, and then at some point in time after I've talked about it, then other people start to talk about some of these tools. And I'm not looking for credit by any stretch of the imagination. What I am going to suggest is listen to this show. Share. That's why I tell you to share the show with other people, because I'm doing the research, I'm reading the articles, I'm digging to find interesting tools that are going to enhance your teaching, your learning, your leading, etc. So, you know, if you're a longtime listener, that you are getting value in each of these episodes. And that's why I ask you to share it, because I'm going to put you ahead. I'm going to get you the things that aren't being talked about yet, and I'm going to dig deep into the things that are. So as I reflected back over the different recommendations, I also started to reflect on, what have I been using myself? So I broke it down into two categories. So teaching and professional development. First, some of my go-to technologies for professional development. First and foremost, it is Twitter, where I can be searching relevant hashtags, using TweetDeck, right? TweetDeck.Twitter.com is a great Twitter management tool. So I'm reading Twitter, I'm checking the hashtags, I'm dropping in on certain Twitter chats. I'm not really super huge on Twitter chats anymore. I think the power of audio is just that powerful, and more people should be dabbling into or maybe taking risks in Twitter spaces. So I would certainly, beyond this episode, like to do more Twitter spaces and have more live interaction, whether it's Twitter spaces or Clubhouse. It's that idea of connecting. So Twitter has allowed me to do that, and Twitter has been a gateway technology to other technologies, which ultimately help me connect with other people. Podcasts, listening to them, creating them, consuming them. Certainly podcasts and podcasting have been a vital part of my professional development since I discovered the medium. And, I can't say enough positive things about podcasts and podcasting. Now, when it comes to teaching, in my classroom, in my career, anything Google is good for me. Slides, docs, Keep, right? The list goes on with all of the things that are available from Google to use with your students. I remember back in 2008 where I was doing a long-term sub-gig, and there was this brand new thing called Google Documents, where it was web-based word processing. It was Microsoft Word, but in your browser. And it was super slick. And I remember making up my own permission slips for these 8th graders I was working with and having them create Google accounts, creating Gmails, and getting access to Google Documents, because I knew the power of Google with being able to share and edit, and it changed those kids' worlds. And now, we're almost 20 years later, we're over 10 years later. I still talk to some of them, and, they have expressed their thanks and appreciation for the technologies that I exposed them to way back when. So certainly anything Google is great. EdPuzzle, love EdPuzzle, being able to find video content, added questions, finding people that have already come up with great questions. EdPuzzle is a valuable tool in my history classroom, and my students enjoy it, right? They don't always have to listen to me. They can consume content in other ways. Flipgrid. I believe in the power of Flipgrid. I would like to get my students more on board with it. I'll be honest, I love it. They don't, at least at the high school level. What I do at Rutgers and teaching at the university level, those kids love the Flipgrids. It's way better than doing the typed discussion boards at the college level. They have expressed their excitement to get to know their classmates more than just sitting in class, because their personalities really come out on Flipgrid. I just need to find, personally, better ways to get my high school kids to buy into that. And I know it'll eventually happen because I believe in the tool and I believe in the benefits that it brings kids and learning and my class. So really, those are the highlighted tools that I want to share. So are there other tools that I use? Absolutely. But these are the big ones that kind of make my classroom go. And if you're a social studies teacher and you want to share other tools, or even if you're not a social studies teacher at the high school level, what are some of your favorite tools that you like to use? Share it on Twitter, hashtag House of EdTech. Maybe for this episode, if we're going to kind of tie everything together for episode 200, use hashtag HoET200, the number 200. And I will certainly track that. So that's my EdTech recommendation, because those are the things that I am using. And I would certainly love to hear, as always, what you are using. It is time to start using education technology. EdTech helps connect your students to the real world. Take your students on a virtual tour of the Grand Canyon. Walk your students through the corridors and the history of the White House. Technology allows us to remove the physical barriers of our classrooms. Education technology offers our students a way to connect the curriculum with the real world. Technology will help prepare your students for their life beyond education. To thrive in the 21st century workplace, people need to have more than just a working knowledge of certain technological tools, whether it's calendars and web pages and teleconferencing and whiteboards. But integrating these technologies into our regular instruction and our teaching practices, we as the education institution will be ensuring that our students are prepared for the modern workplace. Education technology encourages and fosters collaboration. Many educational tools offer a variety of functionalities that promote collaborating with others. For example, virtual meeting tools provide a way for students to hold meetings, conversations, group chats with their classmates and anyone from anywhere in the world. The Google Suite has been promoting sharing and collaboration since its inception. Remember I told that story about 2008. Students can easily share and edit their work and share it with other people. Education technology supports different types of learners. No two students learn exactly the same way. No two teachers teach exactly the same way. But with technology, we can address the diversity in teaching and learning styles. An effective blending of tools and differentiation can create a great learning environment where our students can and will learn. Education technology allows us to access information more easily. Technology makes it easier for students to find information, for teachers to quickly and accurately find information. It allows us all to access different search engines. We can access ebooks. We can replace our textbooks. Instead of a personal tutor, students can get one-on-one help through educational videos. It's anytime and anywhere. Learning is always available. Education technology teaches students how to be responsible online. With social media sites plenty, most students are already digital citizens to some degree, especially after the last couple of years. Going forward, by effectively integrating technology into your classroom and school, students will continue to learn how to be responsible in a digital world. Our students, our schools have become a microcosm of the broader digital landscape where students can practice how to communicate, how to search, and how to engage with other people. Education technology makes learning fun. Outside the classroom, students use technology in so many ways within their lives. Within the classroom, technology can be just as important to make the experience fun and exciting. Tech-infused game-based learning allows us to deliver lessons via gameplay. Who doesn't enjoy playing games? Education technology offers a wider choice of materials that can be accessed easily. There is an endless amount of EdTech that is available to offer our students the opportunities to meet their learning needs. EdTech helps them develop the right kind of skills and the knowledge so that they can become good professionals in whatever they want to do in life. Learners who are able to communicate better through technology means they will also perform better academically as well as in the work setting because communication skills, are important. When you want to get your point across effectively, you've got to be able to communicate in multiple modes, whether it's non-tech, but especially now with technology. The internet has become such an integral part of our lives that we hardly find people who do not use it on a daily basis. In today's world, in tomorrow's world, it is essential for students to be able to access the internet from anywhere at any time so they can do their assignments, research, connect, share. They can travel all over the place or wait for a particular time when they can do so that way they can be sharing and doing, and technology is going to help them. Using education technology helps students in this regard because it allows them to connect with the internet even when they are in the classroom, in school, or at home, or anywhere. The internet and being connected is global. Students, through education technology, become active participants in the learning process by using the tech in their classrooms. Teachers who become experts in using technology in the classroom, hey, you could even advance in your career. Now, I don't really know much about that piece of it, but I hear it happens. Maybe one day it'll happen for me. But education technology isn't going anywhere. We need to be using it. You need to be effectively integrating it. It's not about any one specific tool. It's about the right tool at the right time, or the right tools at the right times. What are your thoughts about using education technology? How can we, here in episode 200 and beyond, continue and maybe even more effectively promote using technology in schools? Because as I've said 199 times, it's not difficult. You just have to give it a try. And that's the featured content. This segment is the Just Give It a Try segment, and this segment is reserved for you to share what you've tried with the global House of EdTech audience and community. So send me your success stories. Send me the things that failed or didn't work. Send a voicemail. Send an email. Connect on Discord. chrisnessy.com/feedback. chrisnessy.com/voicemail. If you want to join the Discord community, go to chrisnessy.com/ you guessed it, Discord, DISCORD, and let's grow together. I share my stories by default. I'm the host. It's my show, but I want you to be involved as well. I also want you to reach out and connect with me. I know that you might be a person who has listened to every episode of this podcast, or a really good number of them, and I have no idea who you are. So I want you to reach out to me. If you do nothing else, email me. I want to know who you are. feedback@chrisnessy.com. Just give it a try. And now it's time for the House of EdTech VIP. And I've got 3. First and foremost, I want to let you know that you are a House of EdTech VIP. You have chosen to make this podcast a part of your anytime, anywhere learning. And I can't, 1, thank you enough, and 2, it just makes you awesome because you're putting in time probably outside of your classroom and school to listen to content like this. And I do not have the only EdTech podcast out there. I've been running one of the longest EdTech podcasts out there. Some have popped up in the last 200 episodes and gone away. Some have been going longer and they're still going strong, and they are viable resources for you. But you choose to listen to me, and that makes you a VIP. Number 2, I want to thank all of my former guests of the podcast. Thank you for taking time when you got a random DM or an email from Chris Nessy, and I asked you if you wanted to come on and talk about something. Typically it was in your wheelhouse, and I've had some great conversations in the last 200 episodes. Certainly, I'd like to talk to more people. I've kind of gotten away from interviewing because life happens and people aren't always willing to talk to me at 8:30 at night or later Eastern time. So I will find more time in the spring and summer here to get some more conversations recorded. So you can certainly expect more great conversations as we continue and we do the march towards 500. Because, 300's a big deal, 400's a big deal. So you know what? Maybe we'll just take it 100 episodes at a time. So thank you to all of the former guests of the podcast. And to quote the great Snoop Dogg, last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work. I want to thank me for having not many days off. I want to thank me for never quitting. I want to thank me for always being a giver and trying to give more than I receive. I want to thank me for trying to do more right than wrong. I want to thank me for just being me at all times. And you, my guests, and me, we are all House of EdTech VIPs. Thank you for the 200th time for listening to the House of EdTech podcast. If you're not subscribed or following the show, I hope you'll continue to make this part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. Thank you again. Let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts on this episode or any previous episode. For the show notes for this one, you can go to chrisnessy.com/200. And if you want to send me an email, go to chrisnessy.com/feedback. If you'd like to send a voicemail, I love those. This is an audio podcast. I'll share it right here. Go to chrisnessy.com/voicemail. If you enjoy the House of EdTech, there's 2 things you can do to support the show. Number 1, tell somebody else about the podcast. Word of mouth is the best way to share a podcast you love. You can also become an awesome supporter. I am super thankful for the ongoing financial support of my awesome supporters. And want to take a moment right here to thank Anthony Arnaud. Anthony recently stopped his support of the podcast, and that's okay. But I did want to publicly thank him for being a longtime supporter of the House of EdTech. I certainly understand that situations can change, and I am very, very appreciative and very thankful when people think highly enough to support what I'm doing with random donations or regular support of the show. My ongoing awesome supporters include Dan Gallagher, Carlos Garza, Peggy George, my original supporter, Jeff Herb, Mike Messner, Matt Miller, JP Presevento, Patty Reefus, Lori Simpson, and Kyle Wilcox. If you are getting value from this podcast and you'd like to show some love, you can be an awesome supporter by going to chrisnessy.com/awesome. The next episode of the House of EdTech will be, of course, episode 201, and that's going to come your way on May 22nd, 2022. Until next time, thank you for learning with me, and for the 200th time, please, 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 please remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. And before I go, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this podcast a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development, your personal development. It's been a hell of a journey, and I'm looking forward to many, many more episodes. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.